Have you ever wondered why European societies often feel so stable? You walk through cities in Germany, France, or Scandinavia, and you get this sense of balance. It's not just the beautiful architecture or the cafes. There's something deeper, a social fabric that feels intentionally woven to be strong. The secret, or at least a huge part of it, is the middle class. Europe, for the most part, is obsessed with its middle class, and for very good reason. Think about it this way: a society is like a building. If you have a massive, glittering penthouse and a crumbling, neglected basement, but very little in between, that structure is unstable. It's top-heavy and prone to collapse, but if you build a strong, sturdy, and expansive middle section, the entire building is more resilient. It can withstand storms. That's the core philosophy behind Europe's approach. Stability doesn't come from having the richest billionaires or the most luxurious brands. It comes from having a vast, secure, and thriving middle. So how did they build this? It wasn't an accident. It was a conscious choice, forged in the fires of a tumultuous history. After centuries of revolutions, wars, and extreme social unrest fueled by massive inequality, European nations learned a hard lesson. A society with a huge gap between the super-rich and the desperately poor is a recipe for disaster. The French Revolution, the rise of radical ideologies in the 20th century. Many of these historical earthquakes were fueled by a sense of hopelessness and a feeling that the system was rigged. In the aftermath of World War II, as nations rebuilt from the rubble, a new consensus emerged. To prevent history from repeating itself, they needed to create societies where the average person had a stake in the system. They needed to ensure that working hard meant you could live a dignified life, buy a home, raise a family, and retire without fear. This wasn't just a nice idea, it was a strategy for survival. A strong middle class creates social cohesion. When people feel secure, they are less likely to be drawn to extreme political movements. They are more invested in their communities and the future of their country. This philosophy is baked into their policies. Let's start with taxes. In many European countries, taxes are high, especially for top earners and corporations. Now, nobody loves paying taxes, but the perspective is different. It's often seen as an investment in society. That tax money funds the very things that support the middle class. Think high-quality public education, from kindergarten all the way through university, which is often free or very low cost. This means a talented kid from a working-class family has the same shot at becoming a doctor or an engineer as a kid from a wealthy family. It levels the playing field and prevents wealth from being the sole determinant of success. Then there's healthcare. Universal healthcare systems, like the NHS in the UK or the systems in France and Germany, mean that a medical emergency won't bankrupt you. This is a massive pillar of middle-class security. In a system where healthcare is tied to your job or your ability to pay, one serious illness can wipe out a lifetime of savings and push a family down the economic ladder. By treating healthcare as a right, European countries remove that profound source of anxiety, allowing people to take risks, like starting a small business, without fearing they'll lose their family's health coverage. Labor rights are another huge piece of the puzzle. Strong unions, mandated vacation time often for 2 to 6 weeks a year, paid sick leave, and robust protections against being fired without cause are standard in many places. This isn't about being lazy, it's about recognizing that workers are not just cogs in a machine. They are human beings who need rest, time with their families, and a sense of job security. These policies ensure that the balance of power between employers and employees isn't completely one-sided, which helps keep wages fair and working conditions decent. It prevents a race to the bottom and ensures that productivity gains are shared more broadly rather than just flowing to the top. Let's also talk about the social safety net. Unemployment benefits, disability support, and generous pensions are designed to catch people if they fall. The idea is that losing your job shouldn't mean losing your home. It provides a cushion that allows people to retrain, find a new job, and get back on their feet. This creates a more dynamic and less fearful economy. People are more willing to switch careers or move for a better opportunity if they know there is a system in place to support them during the transition. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but doesn't it stifle innovation and create a sluggish economy? That's the common critique, and it's true that European economies sometimes grow more slowly than, say, the United States. There's less of that get-rich-quick venture capital culture. But the trade-off is stability and a higher quality of life for a larger percentage of the population. The goal isn't necessarily to create the next dozen billionaires. The goal is to ensure that millions of families can live comfortably and innovation does happen. Germany, for example, is a global leader in engineering and manufacturing. Its Mittelstand, a vast network of small and medium-sized family-owned businesses, is the backbone of its economy. These companies aren't flashy startups, but they are highly innovative and provide stable, well-paying jobs for generations. They thrive because the system supports them with a highly skilled workforce, thanks to excellent vocational training programs and public education. This isn't to say the European model is perfect. Far from it. Many countries are grappling with high youth unemployment, the challenges of integrating immigrant populations, and the immense bureaucratic weight of their social systems. The taxes can feel burdensome, and there's an ongoing debate about how to fund these generous programs as populations age. There is no utopia, but the underlying principle remains powerful. Europe's focus on its middle class is a deliberate, long-term strategy for building a stable, cohesive, and prosperous society. It's a choice to prioritize the well-being of the many over the extreme enrichment of a few. They fundamentally believe that a society is only as strong as its middle. By investing in education, healthcare, and worker protections, they build a foundation that is meant to last. It asks a different way of looking at what makes a country successful, not just by the height of its skyscrapers, but by the strength of its social foundation. And that's a lesson worth considering, no matter where in the world you live. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, consider liking the video and subscribing for more deep dives into how the world works. See you in the next one.